Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Elise, and this is 10 to Life, where we talk everything true crime. So if you're checking out the channel for the very first time, welcome. My name is Annie. Hi, and I'm happy to have you here. I hope you appreciate today's case coverage, and for all of my returning 10 to Lifers, welcome back. You know the drill. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you smash the subscribe button now, because if you do, there is a microscopic, like nano percent, that YouTube will actually notify you every time I post, or not every time I post, I should say anytime I post. Usually they don't notify you, even if you have your notifications on and all of that. So make sure you subscribe so that you do see my channel again and it doesn't get lost in your feed. And if you are returning 10 to Lifer and you know you like the channel, make sure to smash that like button ahead of time as well. And we are going to jump right into this. So I've talked about this case on my channel multiple times before, especially within the last few months, because a lot of pieces of evidence and multiple major updates have been released to the public. And this is the case of 26-year-old Courtney Clenney, who in April of this year stabbed her boyfriend of over 2 years to death. His name was Christian Abumsali, and he went by Toby. Now, the reason that this case has received so much publicity is because Courtney, also known as Courtney Taylor online, was a largely successful OF model and Instagram influencer. She currently has around 2 million followers on Instagram, and she is the epitome of a beautiful blonde woman, somebody that you would find it very hard to believe could be capable of such vicious and ugly things. Now, aside from all of that and her success on OF, which we're going to talk about exactly how successful she has been and the exact figures that she has earned, we'll talk about that later, but in addition to all of that, this case has really taken the media by storm because all of these new details keep coming to light, and I am talking like massive details, footage, audio, text messages, so much information that paints not only a picture of what was really happening in this relationship, but also paints a pretty clear picture as to what was happening behind closed doors in this relationship. So guys, today we're talking about all of the updates. We're talking about some of the insane text messages, some of the latest evidence that has now been made public and provided through these latest hearings. We're talking about it all. Never before seen photos, I mean, you name it. So guys, let's jump right in.
10 to Life with Elise starts right now.
So as I mentioned before, I have covered this case on my channel in the past pretty extensively. So if you're not familiar with the case, before watching today's video, definitely check out that playlist so you can get caught up. Because today we are only going to be talking about the updates, and there is so much information to this case because it is so complex that you definitely are going to want to watch one or two of those videos to really get fully caught up and up to speed. I will link that playlist in the description box and also in the pinned comments. And if you are familiar with this case, feel free to check back at those videos after just to refresh your memory, because we definitely do a deeper dive in those videos. So I'm going to warn you, all of the updates in this case are extremely hard to hear as well as hard to see. One of the newer updates in this case revealed text messages and iCloud photos that showed that Christian had seemingly been expecting the worst to come in this relationship, and he had been documenting Courtney's ongoing abuse. The state released 3 text message exchanges between Christian and Courtney. The first one was from October 2021, while the couple was still residing in Texas. They were arguing about how Courtney had taken his phone and had stabbed him in the leg, saying in the text that it hurt so badly that he couldn't effing walk. The second set of text messages showed Christian saying, "The next morning I still woke up happy. I still gave you a good day even though my leg was hurting because my girlfriend stabbed me. Did I make you feel like shit for stabbing me? No, just sucked it up and hoped tomorrow will be better." Very sad and very alarming. Now, this third set of texts came from the following day after that second set, and this recounted Courtney allegedly spitting on Christian and pounding her phone on his face and the back of his head. He was pleading to be let inside of their apartment to lay down, and he said, "Now I have a lump. I'm bleeding, throwing up. I think I got a mild concussion and have anxiety. I slept in the restroom for 2 hours and I'm just lost beyond words." 5 minutes later, the messages show Courtney responding and saying this: "I'm sorry for hitting you in the face and the back of your head and spitting on you. Is it right? No, you just pissed me the F off, but I still love you." I mean, guys, literally the audacity and the gaslighting here, it is unbelievable. She's saying, "Sorry, did I mean to hurt you? No, but you pissed me off." Still saying it's his fault, as though she's not taking any accountability or responsibility for her actions. This is just the very beginning of a pattern that we begin to see that clearly escalates to what ended up happening that fateful day in April. One of the comments that I get the most on my channel is when you guys ask me where I get my glasses. You know I'm wearing different glasses in almost every video, and I like to change it up all the time. And you guys are constantly asking me where I get them. If you've watched my channel for a while, you know I've shared this little secret with you before about where I get them. But if you're a new viewer, let me go ahead and spill the tea and share it with you. Warby Parker is an absolute game changer when it comes to having happier eyes and more stylish eyes. They got your back for sunglasses, eyeglasses, contact lenses, even eye exams. Glasses start at just $95, including prescription lenses, and you can shop them in-store or online. Or you can shop them like I do, and you can get your free at-home try-on kit. Warby Parker's free try-on program sends you 5 different pairs of glasses for you to try completely free. They mail them directly to your home, and there is no obligation to buy. They even include a prepaid shipping label for you to return it. Now, this kit is what I prefer to do because I like to try on all of the different glasses and get your opinion on what looks halfway decent and what looks like, Annie, no, you look like a psycho serial killer. I usually opt for like gold frames or black frames. I'm pretty basic that way, but I decided to change it up this time. And so I need your help. We're going to try these on together and you can tell me what's a yay and what's a nay. We're going to start with the Halton Nutmeg with crystals and Riesling. Gosh, say that 5 times fast. Now I get it. These are gold still, so still a little basic. But I felt like they looked new and like a little bit of a fresh update from where I've been in the past, which I kind of like these. I feel like they're easy, they're minimal, they're understated, they don't take up the entire frame. I like these. I also wanted to get a splash of color in my life, or I should say try a splash of color in my life. So these are the Percy in Tidal Blue. Let's see what these look like. This is not the business. This is not the business. Let's stick with the color theme. These are the Daisy Wide in Cardinal Crystal. These I could get on board with. I'm feeling these. Maybe it's because I'm having like a red moment in my shirt today too, but like I'm liking the way these are feeling. What do you guys think? Next, we have the Shirley in Polished Gold. And let's just... Okay, no. Looks like I should be working the counter at Urban Outfitters. This just is not the look. This is not the vibe. This isn't it. And I feel like my head is so big that it's gonna like crush these. Let's go back to color options. Here is the Abner Wide in Rosemary Crystal Fade. See, now I like these glasses because you get a little bit of a pop of color, but you have the clear bottom frame part so it doesn't look too overwhelming or in your face. I actually feel like these are a winner. These are my favorite out of all 5. Which ones are your favorite? You too can try on 5 pairs of glasses for free in the comfort of your own home. Just go to warbyparker.com/10tolife. Now, what I also love about Warby Parker is for every pair of glasses sold, they distribute a pair to somebody in need through their Buy a Pair, Give a Pair program. Since day 1, over 10 million pairs of glasses have been distributed worldwide. That is incredible. So guys, these are the winners for me, absolutely, hands down. Try Warby Parker's free home try-on program yourself and try on 5 pairs of glasses at home for free at warbyparker.com/10tolife. So text messages from January 30th, after they had moved into their Miami high-rise apartment, documented them discussing buying blow, which is street name for coke. And they were discussing buying it when they were together that night and how Courtney was upset at the tone of Christian's text messages, saying, "Yes, Courtney, it's unnecessary. I continue to have to explain to you how you act." Later that night, after meeting up, Courtney wrote to Christian, "Hopefully this will give you time to think about your actions. Enjoy the hospital." So it seemed that night that Christian had suffered from 2 gashes on his head and went to the hospital for medical attention. And there are allegedly photos of Christian's wounds at the hospital, but those have not yet been released to the public. Yet she is texting him very callous with no remorse saying, "Enjoy the hospital. This will give you time to think about what you've done." Unbelievable. And this text message exchange also showed Courtney taunting Christian by saying, "Tell them your side and I'll tell them everything." to which Christian responded that he was just going to tell the doctors that it was a football incident, covering for his girlfriend. Later that night and into the next day, Christian was texting Courtney discussing her stabbing him multiple times throughout the text, and in one text message, he said, "I was in the hospital looking forward to see you, and you go and drink and leave with someone else when your boyfriend is passed out on the bed getting stitched up because I lost so much blood." A few days later, after that stabbing, Courtney texted Christian a series of apologies, typical in abusive relationships, saying, "I love you so much, Christian. I should have been at the hospital with you, and I should have slept next to you. I always have. I feel extreme regret, sadness, and humiliation. I am so, so sorry for hurting you." Unfortunately, we see this kind of pattern in a lot of relationships, that there is DV happening where, first of all, the accountability and the gaslighting happens, but then when they do come back and are apologetic, it's to reel them back in because they feel like they're losing them. So they give them a shred of apology, a shred of accountability to get them back on the hook. It's awful. Now, the last set of text messages were from February 26th, just weeks before Christian's death. Now, these texts have to do with the racial slurs that she was calling him, which were also released via secret video that Christian took as well for his concern for his own safety and what could have happened when she stabbed him, and his concerns if she ever tried to stab him again. In this, he said, "My cheek, my eye, what might happen next? I pray there is no time like that." Clearly foreshadowing what might possibly be to come and fearful of that. Now, these texts are hard to hear, knowing that there was in fact a next time, just a few short weeks later. And unfortunately, he didn't make it out alive this time. So regarding Courtney calling him these slurs, he said, "Your boyfriend is black and you're calling him that. Your boyfriend isn't dirt. Why are you spitting on him?" Now let's get into this video taken discreetly by Christian of Courtney yelling at him and calling him those slurs. The couple had gone into an argument because Courtney found out that he apparently said hi to another woman while on a bike ride and didn't tell her. Very possessive, a pretty crazy reaction if you ask me, but that's just my opinion. So Christian turned his camera to video and caught about 2 minutes of this argument. This video footage was released just a few days ago at the start of this month.
"Get off of me! You literally talked to her without telling me! You're
Yes, thank you. I am so sorry.
So shut up and let me slap. Get off of me! You literally talked to her without telling me!
Courtney, I was on a bike ride and she passed me and I said hi. You and Courtney are having a live chat. My bad, I forgot to tell you that. That doesn't make you to act and call me a
Another video clip he took secretly seems to be in the lobby of the apartment complex. Courtney is seen in this video saying, "Decide whether or not you're done gaslighting me," to which Christian says, "I apologized, but you hit me." Courtney lowers her voice, possibly because they're in the lobby or also because maybe she believes that she was now being recorded. And this is when she says to Christian, "Shut the F up, bitch, don't effing say that."
Yes, I have a key.
When it is 5 a.m. and I had
Decide whether or not you're done gaslighting me. Decide whether or not you're done gaslighting
I am mad that you told me to come.
Decide right now.
Courtney, that's a bullshit. I asked you so many times that I don't know, and I apologize. But you hit me.
Shut the don't.
In another released video, the couple are in yet another fight. Now this fight seems to be Courtney yelling at Christian and claiming that she's going to take her own life. This video in particular is around 7 minutes long. A bystander is stepping in between the two and is heard in the video, to which she later calls out to Christian a lowlife. Now at the end of this clip, you can hear her repeatedly hitting him and him begging her to stop hitting him.
Myself. Baby, please. Just get in the car. Just please. I'm sorry for calling you stupid. You will never hear me doing that. It was not right for me to do that. Please, baby, don't yourself.
You will never protect me.
I will.
Somebody was being horrible to me.
Okay,
You defended them.
Okay, just tell me in the car.
Get away from me. Get away from me. Get away from me.
Stay here. You're gonna.
See?
Your dogs are your.
See, you just said stay here.
I promise you, I won't
Every
do
time
anything.
I ask you for help,
Are you guys in a relationship?
Yes.
not anymore.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Nah, look, I don't, no, man, you guys don't have to apologize for that. I have problems with my relationship too, bro. And shit happens.
He just said he broke up with me. So the fact that he's bending down, this is how he makes friends with everybody.
No, it's not about that.
Yes, it is.
I'm not. Look,
Shut up. He literally just said, got in my car.
When you're upset, look,
Oh my
get on
God,
my page.
sorry, I like touching it.
Relax. This is breathe. Okay, breathe. Relax. You know, when you get upset.
Cece, just stop, please.
No!
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you make yourself look good.
No, I'm
in
not.
front of people.
No, it's my fault.
He said it's his fault.
Courtney, just come on, bro. Courtney, please, your dogs are in the car.
Trust me, they're coming. I know they motherfuckers. So she ain't. That shit ain't looking too good, my bro. Hello?
Okay, I'm so sorry.
You.
Okay.
You're not sorry.
I swear to God, I'm sorry. Just look at me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I never told you to apologize. And that's my fault.
No shit.
I should have never made
Fuck you.
Never made you that way. Okay. Fine. I'm gonna need to apologize. Okay. It's my fault. And I apologize.
Where's the
It's in the car. I'll come back to you. Okay.
No, I'll go get it and then you can leave me alone. You just told a lowlife. You just told me to apologize to a lowlife. You're supposed to protect me.
Yes, and I know. I'm sorry.
No. No.
Courtney, can we just please?
Can I get my card?
It's in there. No, you do not need that to happen.
Both my dogs better be in that.
Right there.
You are so lucky, both my dogs.
Stop hitting me.
You are still because you let my dogs.
I'm doing that for you.
My dogs.
My bad.
My dogs are more
Okay, my
important.
bad. I'm just making.
No,
sure.
not your bag. Give me something better than my
I'm
bag.
sorry. Okay, Courtney, just stop.
Don't ever do that again.
Okay, just stop it. It's okay.
Courtney's defense team at this point is grasping at straws to defend her and protect her whole self-defense image that she's trying to paint her as to the court, painting her as this victim. Courtney has told the police from day one that she had thrown the knife at Christian from 10 feet away in the act of self-defense. But medical examiners have completely called BS on that and said that it is quite literally impossible unless she was a skilled knife thrower. The knife had managed to plunge into Christian's chest about 3 inches deep and sliced his subclavian artery. Once again, something that is not very likely to happen from 10 feet away, and then still manage to plunge that deep and become deadly. Her defense attorneys, Frank Prito and Sabrina Puglisi, said that they believe the evidence released by prosecutors is a one-sided snapshot in time and not the whole story, saying that it is missing context. The most sensational pieces of evidence are being cherry-picked by reporters without proper context to feed the public's curiosity with the case. What is clear to us is that the evidence shows the extreme emotions and dysfunction of a relationship off the rails. They also stated that they believe these salacious headlines are distracting from the real issues, that this is about the action she took that day to save her own life. It's not about the recordings, text messages, or previous fights. Courtney is the victim of DV, and we believe she was failed by the system as she repeatedly asked for help. So her attorneys here are saying, you guys are focusing on the whole picture, not just this one isolated incident that she's on trial for, which I understand to an extent, yet at the same time, the whole picture is what paints a pattern of escalation, and that this was not an isolated incident of self-defense, in my opinion, and that this is something more in line with escalation, her being the abuser, and it finally reaching its boiling point. So this claim of asking for help more likely came from an event that happened just days before the stabbing, when police responded to a 911 call at the apartment complex made by staff on Courtney and Christian.
Oh my God, and the freaking security guard who lied about it.
Is she part of the problem?
Yeah, we had basically she lives.
Can you please let me into my apartment? Please?
Excuse me, hold on. What's going on?
Okay.
Where's your apartment? Do you have a key? Ma'am, you don't need to talk to him. Where's your key? Where's your key?
In my apartment.
So you got locked up. Okay.
Okay, I'll get.
Okay, and where's your ID or anything so you can let him know that you live in the apartment?
In my apartment.
So everything's in your apartment.
It's all under my name. I pay the whole rent. He has never paid a freaking dime of rent, and he somehow made like friends with everybody around here. I broke up with him. He has slept. My mom came out. Okay, my mom came out to like help me break up with him, and I just couldn't do it. He slept in my elevator room inside of a couch. I hope that there's like cameras. He slept inside of a couch in my elevator room, which is stalking because he wasn't supposed to be.
Okay,
here. But I never would have called. I never would have called the police because I wanted to do that.
So you didn't call.
I didn't. Nobody.
I called.
You called.
Okay.
Okay, hold on, ma'am. Let him talk.
Okay.
Ma'am, hold on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The front desk personnel, this young lady, I was actually, with the other guy. We were walking around. We came back. She informed us that.
Who's she?
The front desk personnel.
Okay.
She informed us that Miss Courtney, her boyfriend, was trying to get into the elevator with her. But she had her hand out like this.
Okay.
And she had her hand out like this. And she was like, oh no, don't come inside the elevator.
Okay.
So initially, me and him, we went upstairs because he was down here for a long period of time. So we engaged in a conversation with her. We spoke to her. We said, do you want him to come up because he can't lounge in the lobby area? Because you know why? Because he's been just laying around on the couch and everything else, and some of the residents was feeling like, why is he here and everything else.
Okay.
So we asked her, I said, do you want him to leave the property? She said no, she don't want him to.
I did not say that. I said
okay,
yes.
hold on.
No, but
hold on. He's talking, then you talk. Let him speak. Don't interrupt.
Guys, come on.
Okay.
When you were speaking, why not?
She said no.
Okay, you'll defend yourself once he's done.
We're not going to talk over each other. That's not what civilized.
Okay, so she said no.
She said no. I said, are you for sure?
Okay.
She said, yes, I want him to leave the property. I said, are you certain for sure, do you want him to leave? Oh, no. I said, so I'm going to call the police because he's causing a nuisance in the lobby area.
Okay.
Because he can't be in a common area unless he's going to be in your apartment. That's totally different.
So, okay.
So, somehow she locked herself out of the door. So we had to come back down here to go retrieve the key. Okay. We get down here to the lobby area. Her boyfriend comes charging towards her, and we actually try to get in the middle of it. So I told Artisha to go get the key so she can go back into her unit. Okay. The boyfriend actually came after her, and Paul was walking towards there, and then I just said, enough is enough. Police need to be called. she said she don't want police to be called. But when it's in a common area and something happened like that, my safety is the residents first.
Correct.
This police body cam footage was also made public at the end of October, and Courtney and her defense are claiming that it proves her innocence and how scared she was for her own safety and her life. The total footage here is about 20 minutes long. It shows police talking to both Courtney and to the staff.
You ask me, how can I get a restraining order against him? I answer you, we don't issue those, that's through court. You ask me, I need to get one before him. I told you, the only way is for you to get to court. Then you ask me, is he on the way already? And I ask you, I don't even know how he looks like. You understand? It's your questions that are making much of an error.
I am. Right now, like, I have not always been a victim, but like right now, I'm a freaking victim in a situation. I'm scared to go to school to walk my dogs. I just walked them and I told him, you don't have a chance, and now all of a sudden this is what happened.
Okay.
What's his name?
Where's the gentleman that's going to take her up to the police?
Christian?
Please,
Okay.
don't.
They already have the key to take her up to the apartment. They're going to take her up to the apartment. We're going to go with him to see what this guy's at so we can trespass her. That's it.
He has belongings here.
Would it be okay if when y'all talk to him? Because he is my attorney.
So he
Can you please answer me?
he says he doesn't live here.
I know, but he has belongings here. He has belongings in there. He has belongings in there with you, right? He has property.
All over the place.
So he has property in your apartment.
In my apartment, yes, that I pay $10,000 a month for, that he does pay zero for.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what do you want us to do?
So I will have, I really, like, I will happily, I don't care what happens, I just don't,
Okay.
I don't want to ever
Courtney,
have to
let
deal
me
with
ask you
this
this.
again.
For how long has it been sleeping in the apartment with you?
At this apartment, I mean, we moved in together technically like 2 months ago, but it was
2
my
months ago.
name. It was my name.
Forget about whose name is it. That's not the question I'm asking. Okay? That's irrelevant. It really
Okay, I
is.
need to calm down.
Okay? Listen to me. Answer my questions, please. Does he have property in the room, in the apartment with you? A lot of property, you said. He's been with you here for about 2 months, right?
Yes.
On and off, or
On and off, or staying
sleeping
with you?
for 2 months every day?
Staying with you for 2 months here with
Yes.
you?
Yes. Except for last week, he wasn't present.
Let me let you know something. He lives here. That person lives in that apartment with you. Okay? We cannot trespass anybody that lives in this place. So we can by law we cannot do this.
I know. I understand, and that's why I said I mean, I'm so frazzled. I can't believe
If you want, you can ask your dad. I don't know if you know instead of Florida law, but that's the way it works.
No, I understand, and that's why I do understand, and that is why I said, can I get a restraining order and get there first?
Listen, my
Because
answer
I have a
was, I
feeling
already
he's
answered that.
crazy
You
enough
got
to go.
just go to the court. Explain to them what happened.
Monday morning, 8 o'clock.
Explain to them what you need. If they grant it to you or not, I tell them. You have to see a judge at court. Those type of restraining orders are granted by a judge.
So what can I do to be safe now? For my 2 dogs and I, what can I do to be safe?
Explain to me why you don't feel safe.
I'm not comfortable.
Explain to me why you don't feel safe.
What am what?
Why is it that you don't feel safe with him? Has he threatened you? Was there any type of physical?
Yes, that's not really like my concern. It's just that like, just stop. They're stalking me. My mom was here for a week, and she caught him in the little couch. Like I have like a couch in my elevator room, and it's like turned sideways. And he like was sleeping in there, and she went outside, and she was like, what's moving in there? And she pulled it, and she was like, oh, there's skin. And she goes,
you want this person to completely disappear from your life. At the same time, you have him in your apartment for 2 months with a ton of stuff in here.
But no, I know.
There's a process for this. You need
That's
the person needs to
understandable. As a woman.
gather their belongings. What is it saying? Is you want to leave?
Can I talk to you a second?
Yeah.
Hold on. Come on.
At the beginning of the footage, Courtney is begging the police to let her into the apartment. She explains that the apartment is in her name and that she doesn't have any ID because it's all in the apartment, and that she had broken up with Christian a week prior and that her mother has been staying with her and helping her with him, but that he was staying in her elevator room and was acting stalkery. So this is when it is found out that the staff called the police and they explained why. The staff members claim that at one point Christian was charging, and I quote that, after Courtney. Courtney is getting noticeably frustrated in the video, saying over and over that the cops aren't listening to her, letting her explain, telling her version of the story, and even says that they have something against her. The staff member is seen talking to the cops alone and says that Courtney is for sure a resident and that Christian is not, that he only sometimes visits and stays with her, and that there has been multiple disputes between the two of them in the building. The staff member also tells police that they are in the process of evicting her due to the confrontations and that she was just served with these eviction papers on Wednesday. Courtney is then seen asking for a restraining order against Christian, to which they repeatedly tell her they cannot do, that it had to be taken and approved in a court. She even says, "I haven't always been the victim, but right now I am the freaking victim." Courtney tells them that he has been technically living with her since they moved in together in January, that she pays the entire amount of the rent, which is $10,000 a month, and that it's her name only that's on the lease. So we see police explaining to Courtney that because he has been living in the apartment with her for over 2 months and has property there, they cannot get him for trespassing due to Florida state laws. They ask her why she doesn't feel safe around him, and she seems to be avoiding the question completely. The last bit of the video is the police entering Courtney's apartment, with her and a staff member checking for Christian and letting Courtney into the apartment because during that dispute, she had locked herself out. This police camera footage doesn't show Christian being physical towards Courtney. The only evidence is the staff member saying that he had seen Christian charging at Courtney, and that is essentially being used as the sole proof that Courtney was a victim, asking for help and ultimately did what she had to do in self-defense. Along with the text messages, police cam footage and secret recordings from Christian's phone and new photos were released from the day of Christian's murder that were taken of the apartment and taken of Courtney. These photos were taken from crime scene detectives at the scene on April 3rd. You can see that her clothing is covered in blood, her sweatpants are an entirely different color than before, and the apartment is a complete wreck. Christian's blood is seen all over the floor, as well as clothes scattered that I'm sure in an argument where his clothes were being thrown around. It looks as if during the argument, things such as furniture and decorations were also thrown around as well due to the extremely messy state that the apartment is clearly in. It really just kind of gives me anxiety looking at all of these photos because this apartment is in complete disarray. Was it because she was packing up to move because of the eviction notice? Was it because they were just messy all the time? There's just things scattered everywhere. A clear indication that if your life is anything like your apartment, it is clearly disorderly, to say the least. The murder weapon was also one of the photos taken that day, and that was released, and it was a common kitchen knife. Just a few days later, on October 25th, that 911 call that Courtney made was released. In this call, Christian can be heard saying that he can't feel his arm and that he thinks that he's going to die.
Now, what's the line here? Operator, what is the address of your emergency?
I'm gonna die.
Ma'am, please.
3101. It's 130, so 130.
Ma'am, listen to me. You need to stop screaming on the line and give me the address.
3101.
I'm gonna die. I can't feel my arm.
3101.
I can't feel my arm.
Ma'am.
So my boyfriend is dying of a stabbing.
Ma'am, what is the address?
What's that? What's the address?
3131.
3131 Northeast 7th Ave. Please, God, please. Come see my boyfriend.
Ma'am, is this a house apartment or a business?
512-745-2582.
Is this a house apartment or a business?
Baby, I'm so sorry. Baby.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
There have been mixed reactions to the way that Courtney acted on this 911 call. Some say that her repeatedly saying she is sorry is because she realized what she had done to him, not as an admission of guilt. Once again, her defense team was quick to defend Courtney here, telling the public the 911 call that Courtney made to get help for Christian captures the chaos, confusion, and raw emotion that Courtney experienced after she was forced to defend herself. The audio of Courtney's 911 is clearly not an admission of guilt. It is a human and humane reaction to the traumatic events and acts that she took to save her life that night. As with many victims of DV, Courtney allowed her abuser back into her apartment despite knowing their relationship was toxic. However, her actions that evening were taken in defense of her own life. Now, as I was finishing up on this case, even more updates came out on Thursday, November 10th. So on Thursday, November 10th, Miami-Dade Assistant State Attorney Khalil Quinn filed a motion arguing that Courtney is a flight risk and should not be granted bail after her salary from OF was released. So we all know that she was an OF model with a pretty large Instagram following as well. We also knew that the rent she paid in the apartment was allegedly $10,000 a month. But until now, we didn't know just how much money Courtney was bringing in. In 2021, Courtney made $1.86 million. And in 2020, she made nearly $1 million. From January 1st to August 11th of this year, she made $330,000. And 40 of that was made after Christian's death. So in this motion, they argue that she has a profession that she can maintain abroad if she flees the country, an act that she certainly can afford financially. He also added that the income shown doesn't even include additional income from sources other than social media, such as advertisement campaigns and things of that nature. A hearing was held that Tuesday where her lawyers argued for her release on bond. At this hearing, the inclusion or exclusion of several key recordings Christian took of Courtney were also being decided on, that if they could be used as evidence. The hearing lasted until 6 p.m. and will resume Thursday at 1 p.m. The judge ruled at the outset of the hearing that not all of the recordings of the fights between the couple would be allowed into evidence. She stated that the primary issue in use of these recordings was whether a privacy interest existed in recordings that were made inside of the apartment. So a privacy violation, recording without the other party's knowledge. Defense attorneys argued whether or not the words yelled in arguments were loud enough to be heard outside of that apartment. One prosecutor said, a reasonable person shouting at the top of their lungs can expect that their neighbors will hear and possibly record it. The fact that Christian recorded it is of no consequence. Whether she consented to it is no consequence. Defense attorneys didn't object to that lobby video that was released because both sides agreed to it and agreed that it was a public place. And neither objected to phone calls made to the building security officer either. The main issue was the recordings from inside the apartment with no third party present. The defense added that they believed that the recordings made by Christian within their apartment are considered an illegal wiretap. They further argued this because the apartment was not a single apartment on a floor of multiple apartments separated by thin walls. It was on its own floor that contained its own elevator entrance. The judge said that some of the recordings were so loud that she had to turn down the volume on her computer to the lowest setting while reviewing them, and concluded that normal volume conversations were private, but the recording of Courtney screaming at the top of her lungs were public because there was no subjective expectation of privacy, and evidence suggests that the sounds did indeed disturb several neighbors. The judge also denied a defense motion to strike the state's motion for pretrial detention for technical reasons. The judge also disagreed that the state failed to notify the defense of the witnesses that it planned to call during Tuesday's hearing. A motion for pretrial detention was then examined on its merits. Prosecutors during this hearing played a video of Courtney dancing, claiming it showed evidence of bruising on her legs prior to the death of Christian, claiming that they therefore could not have been from the attack on the day of his death. An Instagram video also showed the bruises before the killing occurred. However, the photos just recently released show bruises on Courtney's body, but these were taken after the stabbing occurred. Her team stated that their client was obviously concerned over the fact that Christian was bigger and stronger than Courtney. The state argued that in the time just before the stabbing happened, she called Christian multiple times in between going in and out of Instagram Live, and argued that her behavior was not at all that of someone who was fearful of Christian. The state also reminded everyone during this hearing that during interrogation, she even said, "I don't know if this is justified," as well as calling the building security and her mother multiple times before calling 911. They argued that during her interrogation, she took her time with recounting the events that happened, stating she sat in her thought. She didn't know whether it was justified at all. After Christian's murder, Courtney allegedly made 3 wire transfers to her father, Kim Clenney, which totaled to $1.2 million. In regards to this activity, they stated that given the suspicious timing, nature, and sums of the transactions, the only possible interference for the defendant's behavior is the obvious, an attempt to relocate and conceal her assets. The hearing lasted over 4 hours. However, no decision was made on Tuesday about her bail status. On Thursday, November 17th, the hearing was held to determine if Courtney would be released on bond. After hours of testimony and statements from the prosecutors and the defense, the judge said that she will announce her final decision on bond at the hearing on December 8th at 9:30 a.m. Courtney's attorney said he believes that Courtney deserves bond and that all of the evidence presented in court made it very clear that she is not a flight risk, and added that it was very clear that she had been a victim of mental abuse and of violence from Christian.
There's no question she was a victim of. And like any parent out there, he loves his daughter and he's very upset about the situation.
Why do you think she deserves bond?
I think that all the evidence as presented in court was very clear. She's not a danger to the community, nor is she a flight risk.
He also argued that the maximum charge should be manslaughter here. The defense team asked that Courtney be released to her parents and be confined within the home with a GPS monitor, meaning house arrest. During the 4 hours of the hearing, her defense team tried to show that Courtney committed these acts that she did in self-defense and showed that she had endured physical and mental abuse from Christian. The prosecutors made an outstanding case on why she should not be released on bond, and they went over multiple videos of Courtney's abuse towards Christian, as well as mentioned the multiple phone calls she made before calling 911. The prosecutors had an entire timeline of events and evidence against Courtney that they presented to the judge, as well as Courtney's father, who's been fighting for Courtney to be out on bond.
9th through the 11th, discussing your daughter stabbing the victim in the leg and then hitting him in the...
I don't think I know that to be true.
Well, whether you know it to be true, you were in the court and heard it.
I did hear it, yes.
And then also in January 30th through February 1st, the state's allegations that your daughter caused this injury to the victim, slicing him to the face.
I did hear it. I did hear that.
And then the February 21st incident in the elevator.
Well, it's obviously she's under duress, and we don't know what happened before or after.
Well, my question to you is, you heard about it yesterday.
I heard about it the day before yesterday.
The day before yesterday. And then in regards to March, the multiple conversations between your daughter and the defendant where she calls him a number of different names. You heard about that yesterday?
I did hear about that, but I don't know in what context.
Certainly, I'm not asking you that. So, and then obviously the incident that took place, the date of the incident, when the defendant killed the victim. You heard about that 2 days ago.
Well, when the defendant acted in self-defense, I heard about that, yes.
So, after hearing those incidents that the state has brought to your attention in the last 2 days, you still feel comfortable allowing her to come home to your house, that you believe you can control her?
1,000%. Okay. No doubt.
All of this information today between both parties was already known. Courtney's description of the events that happened were also discussed, and they also asked a medical examiner the pressure that it would take to create the stab wound that ultimately killed Christian.
You mentioned that the pressure used to have the force to put a knife into a body would be 8 to 12 pounds to get through the skin. Is that a fair statement of your testimony on direct?
People have done experiments on cadavers, putting knives through different parts of the body, cartilage, bone, skin, and they have described it as being 7 point something to 11.9 pounds to go through the skin. So 8 to 12, yes.
Now, knowing that this was in the subclavian artery, it didn't go through bone?
No.
Okay, so it went through muscle, and then the artery is right underneath the muscle?
Subcutaneous tissue, muscle, and then the artery is down there, yes.
Okay, so you're not sure exactly how much pressure, but estimating based upon experiments, you think approximately 8 to 12 pounds?
Yes.
Now, that's quite a bit of pressure, would you agree with that? That's not just like me standing here and just like straight putting a knife into somebody's body, right? You have to really
push
put
it
some
in.
pressure.
Yes.
Okay. And would you agree with me that it would be more the pressure, the more you can move your hand back and move something, you're going to get more force to it, right? Just like a baseball, if I'm throwing a ball, I'm going to get more pressure and it's going to fly farther than if I just hold it like this and just kind of throw it like that, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So, did you see any defensive wounds on Mr. Abumseli?
No.
All right. Now, let me ask you this. On the autopsy dictation, if you want to refer to that, sir, it has height and weight. Can you tell me, with your handwriting, I apologize, the weight, what does that say, sir?
Which form are you looking at?
It's called the autopsy dictation. If you
yeah.
Do you have it?
200.
Okay. That's a 2, that's a 0 and a 0. It looks like
Yes.
a 2.6.
No, it's 200.
Okay, and what's the 2.7 underneath it?
His BMI.
BMI, okay. So 200. And if I told you that Courtney was 150, then the decedent Abumseli had 50 pounds on her. Is
Yes.
that right?
Yes.
And 4 inches.
Yes.
And as you say, like having to go back and pressure and everything like that, you didn't see anything from Abumseli of putting his hands up or anything like that?
I didn't see any defensive injuries on his arms or hands, no.
Okay. You would agree that somebody who is 6 foot tall has a farther reach than somebody who is 5'8"?
Depending on the length of their arms, yes.
Okay. Now, would you agree that it's also possible to, for somebody stabbing somebody, they could possibly have self-inflicted wounds? Isn't that possible?
Yes.
And that's because I think they call it slippage, right? Because of so much blood, the knife could slide back and it could cause cuts on the person's hand, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. Judge, if I can have a moment.
This entire hearing lasted about 4 hours and 17 minutes. So we don't know yet if she will be granted bond. I personally do believe she is a flight risk. I think that, and this is just my opinion, but I think that based on her assets, based on the money she had transferred to her father, and based on her father very much advocating for her, I believe that it is not a far stretch to think she could easily flee to another country. And the reason I also say that is because in addition to knowing what her financial status is in this moment, when this first happened, she voluntarily checked herself into a treatment center in Hawaii, which of course is not out of the country, but she tried to flee, go to Hawaii, get off the grid. I just don't think that it's a far stretch to think that she may do this and flee now knowing how severe the charges are, how severe the evidence against her is, and what the punishment truly could be for this crime. I think it's risky to let her out, but we will learn that on December 8th. So Courtney's trial is set for December, which is right around the corner. It's hard to imagine what more evidence could be released from now until the trial starts, and if any of it will be in Courtney's favor. I'm not sure how her defense team thinks that with all of this evidence that they have any chance at claiming self-defense, but I don't know. We'll see. An attorney for Christian's family has spoken out for them, saying that all of this new evidence released just proves that Courtney terrorized his life. And Christian's family plans to file a wrongful death civil lawsuit against Courtney as well. What do you think about all of this new information that has been released, including the text messages, the audio, the video, all of these things? Do you think that it does paint Courtney as the abuser? Do you think that they just had a mutual toxic relationship and that the night of the murder was an isolated incident and that Christian was the attacker and it was self-defense? What do you make of this case? Let me know in the comments below. As I said, more details keep coming out, so I'm going to keep you guys updated. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't done so already so that you get notified as soon as I post those updates and so that you can stay caught up with this case. Also, guys, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up on your way out just to show your support for the channel, and check back soon for updates. Don't forget, comment below with what you guys think about this case. I want to know who you think the true monster is in all of this. All right, guys, and until the next one, stay safe. Bye.